All right. What's up, Steven?
What's up, Brendan?
How
You're
are you
back from
doing
your
today?
cruise? I'm
Yes.
good, but I've been home. I've been ready to talk about this. You're back now, right? You're back and we can finally talk about some wrestling.
Yes. The cruise was awesome. The worst part about it, honestly, was it was kind of hard to watch Final X. Like it kept loading as I'm going and buffering, and I'm just getting mad. I'm like, oh my God, I need to talk about this on Sunday, so I had to go back and rewatch them.
Yeah, well,
The
I
matches.
was gonna say like that's the fun thing about it being on Flow is I watched the first round live at work on like a giant TV in the office. Then I went home. I watched the second and third rounds at home, like on my home TV. But before we went to talk about it, I got to rewatch some of the matches I wanted to rewatch because they're easy to find. You can watch exactly what you want to watch again. And it's like I don't know. I feel like for the real wrestling fan, like we like being able to go back and find that stuff whenever we can. And some of those like Olympic matches, they get lost forever
Oh yeah.
on Peacock. So it was cool to like watch Dake Zahid live, be surprised, and then go back and kind of watch it again and be like, wow, like I know what happens now, but how did this actually happen?
Yeah, it was like people give Flo a hard time, and some of it is earned. I mean, absolutely. You're never gonna call me the biggest Flo fan, but I will say, I mean, like what it's done. I mean, I remember being a wrestling fan in like 2008. All right, I was a freshman in high school, and the only matches I could ever watch were whatever was on Big Ten, whatever the NCAA finals were on, and then like if the Olympics were on, but I never could watch a world championship match, anything like that until 10 months later when it got uploaded to YouTube, and then I got to watch it.
Yeah,
So
and
just this ability to be able to watch wrestling now and be able to consume as much of it as we are is awesome.
Yeah, I really like all of the opportunities which to watch the wrestling like later when you want to. It's really
Yes.
hard to coach high school and watch college wrestling live when they're happening at the same time, but it's like I like being able to like on a Tuesday night when there's nothing on TV, go back and watch a duel from a college duel on ESPN Plus that I missed because I was at a high school event or something.
Exactly.
But yeah, like Flow lets you kind of Flow lets you do that with the duels they have with Final X and yeah, so it's like I don't know. I've watched 86 kilos a lot of times because I think that's at the very least it's the one that the most people are talking about.
I yes. And I we were texting during it, of course, and I was just like, dude, I should have just stuck with my fandom and stayed with Kyle Lake. I mean, just unbelievable. Like I am so impressed. I mean, to make a world team at 74, 79, make it at 86, even though he's clearly undersized. I mean, when you watch him and Zahid wrestle, it's like it's two different sized people wrestling. And to add in that he's 35, I mean, and he looked really good. And he didn't have to win just with his chest wrap, right? Um, I thought he looked great when he was attacking, went upper body in those matches. I mean, it was pretty incredible.
Yeah, I was gonna talk about him going upper body. I feel like there are times when you watch Kyle Dake and it's like he just decides in his head that he's gonna go take something. And the way he beat Zahid, he like it took a challenge for Zahid to win the first match. Like
Yep.
if that had been called as it was called on the mat, he would have won the first match. And then he figured it out in matches two and three anyways. But like it almost reminded me of I think it was his bronze medal Olympic match where he had the challenge and then they were like looking at the wrong exchange and he's like complaining that they're looking at the wrong exchange like on the mat and then he just goes and gets a four because he needs a four and he's not leaving without an Olympic medal. I felt
Yes.
like it was like that kind of performance from Dake where it was like I want to be on this world team. I'm just gonna go take it. I'm gonna do it however I have to do it. And a lot of those upper body exchanges, they kind of it's just that same like where you're like, is Kyle Dake even a human being? How can he do this when he's 35 years old? And yeah, like it's like that competitive spirit that we've seen him have before is like it's why I hate picking against him even if
I
it's like
know.
what's supposed to make sense. And then it's like, yeah, like I wasn't I guess like I wasn't shocked that he could do it. It wasn't what I was expecting, but I was definitely impressed. Like it was an
Oh,
impressive way to win the three matches for sure.
yes. I mean, I really do. I think I text you. I was talking to my brother about it. We were watching it together. I was like, I think this Zahid messed up, telling him that he needs to retire, like his time's over with. I really do. I think Dake is just like the ultimate competitor, and he really proved that there because yeah, I mean, I thought he should have gotten the four. It was a good one thing that it's not specifically Final X or anything like that, but DT and his bricks. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
he's good. He's
Yeah,
the
yeah.
if he's challenging something, I'm expecting him to win that
Yeah.
challenge because I thought it was four for Dake. Even after the replay, I still thought it was four.
Well, yeah, that one was a weird one. I think they called an offensive singlet grab in the
Yeah,
four. So it wasn't like there was a step out first or like a continuation. It was like, so I think David Taylor threw some really good bricks. And I think that four that got wiped was like, I don't think that's what David Taylor was telling him to look for. It's
no,
just
I
what they
don't either. I think he just got lucky and found it, but that was
Yeah.
pretty incredible. Um, I am curious as to what Zahid is gonna do after this. Like I hope because I think Zahid is has the potential to win Olympic gold in 2028. Um, but I just don't know what is he hasn't looked that great this year.
Yeah, and I think he's a guy that like when it doesn't set off alarm bells when he doesn't look his best because we've seen him kind of like show up for the biggest matches and look his best, but then that's kind of not what happened at this Final X
Yeah.
compared to last Final X. So I think it would kind of have been an unfair criticism before Friday, and now you're like, well, I mean, we at least got to talk about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I was expecting him to come in and look how he did at Worlds last year, and that's because and that's why I picked Zahid in two matches. I mean, I did not really give Dake much of a chance at all,
Yeah,
and
you lost. I think you might have lost your Kyle Dake fan card. You're
I
gonna have to
yeah
earn it
I
back. You're
yeah
gonna
I
have to
did
earn it back.
I did. But yeah, that was incredible. Now let's move on to Blaze and Forrest.
Yeah, because this is another match we both picked wrong.
Yes.
Um, where it's like, uh, I don't know. I think when you watch it play out, you're like, well, if Marcus was gonna win, like this is how Marcus is gonna win. But I think it's hard to oversell how good Marcus Blaze is at freestyle.
Yes.
He wrestles a style that travels internationally very well. He matches up well against anyone in the world because they have to wrestle like his style. And then I think the rules of freestyle make that style like more dangerous because freestyle is designed where like no one it's never a tie after that first passivity warning.
Yeah.
And so like when Marcus wrestles this like control center, stay in a low stance, be really hard to get in on style and folk style, when it's a tie, the other guy doesn't feel like the pressure to go get points, but it's hard to wrestle Marcus Blaze knowing how hard he is to get in on when he can also control center and take a lead with a passive warning. And then it's also like there's something in his brain where he's so much more comfortable wrestling close matches than a lot of these other guys like a
Yes.
lot of these other elite guys that they don't wrestle a ton of close matches because they're so good, and Marcus is so comfortable there. Like my notes for 61 are like, well, when he has to go find a takedown late, like when he was a junior in high school, that's how he beat Matt Ramos. And in 2024, that's how he beat Dayton Fix at World Team Trials,
Yep.
and it's how he beat Jax Forrest in two of the three matches at Final X too. It's a style that works really well for freestyle. It's a style that travels really well internationally. But then, man, just like mentally, like being like, hey, if it's tight and I got to go get one at the end, I'm just gonna go get one because I want to win this match.
Yes, I would love to see him open up more in his matches because he does have a pretty good ability to get to legs. I wouldn't say it's the most elite, but then again, when he really puts in the effort to go do it, he does it. So it may be. But I just see him as being someone that I would definitely classify as a medal threat at Worlds. I still think someone like an Agoyev is going to be really tough for him to beat because Agoyev, I think, is just so elite in freestyle. He has those great tactics. He controls center well, and he's more offensive. So I think that's someone that I don't know if he's ready to beat yet. But who else in the world can't he beat? I
Well,
mean,
and I also think 61 is going to be, as we get closer to the 2028 Olympics, it'll thin out. So it's
yeah,
deeper now. And I think
yes,
if you don't understand why internationally, like think about what our guys are going to do. Because in 2028, I would expect Blaze, Jax, Seidel, like I would expect those guys to be with Bo Bassett and Real Woods trying to make the Olympic team at 65.
yep,
Um, I would put Vito in that 65 category, but we know in 2026 when the Olympics is a couple years away that some of those guys that aren't are going to go down to 57 or up to 61 or up to 65, sorry, are going to be at 61. So I think like we should be excited about his potential, and I think you have to plan for his style no matter how good you are or what country you're from. But I mean, it's a tough weight. It's a deep
it is
weight, and yeah, it'll be. I think he absolutely can medal, but I don't think there's any guarantees at 61 kilos overseas.
for sure, for sure.
Now, can we talk about my biggest surprise, which
Yes,
is 97 kilos. I'm pretty sure I said it like out loud was the biggest lock of Final X for Kyle Snyder to make the team. And Kyle Snyder made the team, but we only had four of the eight Final X matches, nine if you count like Hidlay that happened the week before, go to that third match. And one of them was the one I thought was the biggest gap between the two competitors. So Stephen Buchanan winning a match against Kyle Snyder, even though he didn't earn the spot, just showing that he is with his limited freestyle experience already able to take a match from Kyle. I was really impressed by it, and honestly that's the thing that surprised me the most of watching Final X.
yeah, I was honestly shocked, and because I thought Kyle looked really good too. I mean, he looked more offensive than I've seen him in a few years. He was attacking, he was getting to legs. Now, one thing I will say about that match, I think my biggest gripe with freestyle, I would have said before, it was grounding. Now, like that caution and one that they hit him with, that they hit Snyder with in that match, I don't like that call. I don't like that call because I like it when I see and the guy is clearly jumping out of bounds. You can tell they're making a concerted effort to get out of bounds. Snyder, I mean, his head hit the mat. I mean, like, I didn't view it as him intentionally leaving the wrestling surface.
Yeah, and this is one of those things where I don't think it's a bad call. I think it's fair to not like the call because I think overseas, that's how it's going to get called every
Yeah,
time.
it
Whether
is
you dropped your head on purpose or not, it's going to be a caution in one. And you want Final X to be officiated how the World Championships will be officiated. But it's also fair to say there are some ways that freestyle is officiated that as folk style coaches, folk style wrestling fans like are unfamiliar to us.
Yes.
And so it's like I don't think it was a bad call, but I also think it's fair to be like that's it that's kind of a crazy way for the match to be decided.
And
But for Buchanan to get to that position where he can get
yes.
takedowns on Snyder, I mean it's not nothing. It's impressive for
Wow.
sure.
And one thing I will say about that call before we move on is I actually I get why they do it and why it's called like that because when you watch international wrestling, guys will purposely get taken down, do a little army crawl, and tap their head off the mat in order to avoid getting gutted or laced, etc. And so it's done on purpose, certainly overseas. And so I get why that's the rule. I do wish there was a little bit of discretion there, but again, I'm sure sometime we'll talk about stalling and folk style and how it's called at the college level, and we'll probably want to get a little bit away from discretion. So,
Yeah, well, it's like for all the complaints about freestyle rules from folk style people, watch Marcus Blaze and Ben Davino wrestle freestyle and watch them wrestle folk style and tell me you don't prefer freestyle sometimes. Do you want 30
absolutely.
second tiebreakers every time they wrestle, or do you want them both having more ways to score points with the freestyle moveset? Rule set and points go on the board. And I think that's like a I maybe that's the thing we didn't take into account enough with Marcus beating Jax is in a folk style match. Jax has a lot of ways to score. Marcus has a lot of ways to score in freestyle that maybe aren't available to him in folk style.
Well, if you go back an episode, I did talk a little bit about this. I said I think people are putting a little too much stock, myself included, in the folk style results when we've seen Marcus Blaze wrestle freestyle before, and it's pretty impressive. But all
Yeah.
right, back to Snyder Buchanan. Yeah, I was really shocked. And I was really shocked because I thought this was a really good version of Snyder as well. It's not like this was a Snyder that wasn't being offensive or had poor defense or anything like that. I mean, I think it's a good sign of where Stephen Buchanan's at freestyle wise.
I agree 100%. Kyle Snyder wrestles a lot. Like he does a lot of you don't get a rusty version. He stays in the streets, he stays competing, he stays ready. And so I think uh Kyle can still medal at Worlds and the three match series says more about Stephen Buchanan's quick progress than it says about Kyle Snyder.
Absolutely. I mean, I can't wait to see this match going forward.
Yeah,
Um,
I mean, I thought we were gonna have to have like an Aaron Brooks or Trent Hidlay go up for somebody to challenge
yeah.
Kyle Snyder. Maybe not. Maybe Stephen Buchanan is one of those guys that can challenge him already.
Now, I know we're not going to do a full Worlds breakdown or anything like that, but 97 at Worlds, oh my God. Did you see Yazdani?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, this looks like it's going to be an absolutely incredible weight. Um, but I mean, we're going to get to see where Snyder is against the best guy in the world in July. So I'm excited for that. I'm really
Yep.
excited for that.
All right, let's go ahead and do the fourth Final X match that went three matches. This is another one we both got wrong.
Yep.
James Green beat David Carr in three matches, and this is another one where like if you watch the matches themselves, it's like, I mean, James Green's a leg lace away from winning this in two.
For sure.
David kind of lost the takedown battle in all three matches. Got that lace to put him back in the series, take the second match. But I think that, if it's hard not to be excited about James Green and think he's the guy we should send to Worlds based on that series. Like I don't think anyone watched those two wrestle three times and thought, man, we're not sending our best guy that we have entered this year at that weight.
Yes. Keyword that we have entered. But um, back to no, I really was actually extremely impressed with James Green. I thought he looked really good. I mean, he looked fast. I thought his ability to Get to legs, his down blocking looked really good. And to me, that was a concern that I'd had in the past with him is sometimes his head hands was a little lacking. I think he would be so focused on scoring that he'd let people in on his legs and then, give up a gut or a leg lace and kind of be put out of the match. But here, I mean, he just, yeah, I mean, I think he really out wrestled David Carr here. And that
Yeah, yeah, I mean, it surprised me too. I think David has trouble where, like, when his timing isn't perfect, he has a hard time creating offense. And some of that timing is like it's rhythm based, right? Where it's hard for him to get into a rhythm with his feints and his fakes if there's a lot of blood time and stuff like that,
yeah.
which there was. But yeah, I mean, I think more of the problem was James Green's head hands, and yeah, that's kind of
He
made
looked,
the
I mean,
difference.
he looked really good there. Like I'm shocked, especially with the hip surgery that he had. I mean, I just saw him talking on Twitter about the fact that he looks like he's limping because on that surgery guy, they shaved his hip down to the point where one of his legs is now longer than the other one, which is crazy that you can still compete at such a high level
Yeah,
um,
very impressive.
after having that. All right, now I was thinking, let's talk about 57. One that you got right, one that I got wrong. Um, yes, yes. And honestly, I thought Spencer looked really good. Um, Lilledahl is quick, he's fast, he can get to legs, but Spencer's defense really impressed me and his strength. I mean, his strength is just unbelievable. His ability to turn Lilledahl's offense into his offense is world class. I mean, it's
Well,
so elite.
yeah, I really think that the 57 match we had domestically is two guys that could win world titles.
Yes.
Like I really do feel like that's the level that Luke is at too. Um, and my notes are just like if Spencer gets on top of anyone in the world, like he should beat them.
Yes.
And I think it's like every time he's been on top of Lilledahl, he's turned him. When he lost 4-3, his points were step outs where he couldn't finish a single. Um, but I also liked in the first match, it was tight, and instead of kind of like clamming up or panicking or making the moment more than it was late, like he found a way to get on top and like kind of broke the match open. Like if Spencer just wrestles how he's capable for the full 6 minutes and stays composed and trusts his offense, his counter scoring ability, and takes advantage of his opportunities on top. Like, I mean, he really is like one of the best or the best 57 kg guy in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that version that we saw there, I mean, I thought his conditioning looked great. I mean, he's still scoring at the end of the match, right? And that's something that's always been a concern with him is he's going to blitz you. And if you can handle that blitz and the score gap isn't too big, right, you're in the match. Well, here, I mean, you had close matches and going into the second period, and Spencer just opened it up after that, and he dominated the series. I think Luke Lilledahl is going to get better. Obviously, I mean, I think he's obviously in the best, one of the best training environments in the world. But I right now today, I would pick Cincinnati to make our team in 2028. I mean, that's how impressed I was with him and just his ability to score on his offense, his defense, and of course his ability on top. I mean, so I know Jacob Warner from Iowa pretty well, and he's talked, and I've heard Nolf talk about this as well. If he locks his hands around you for a gut, like you're going. He said it's like your ribs are just being crushed, and
Well,
that's
and yeah, he is just he's our best wrestler in the country at par tier top freestyle wrestling.
yes, yes, yes.
So I think I mean I think we both think Luke's coming eventually, but it's like yeah, maybe it won't be by 2028. That one match that Luke took, when you take it in the and you look at the whole picture and how Final X went, it's like maybe it's, 2028 is Spencer as our Olympian again, and it's going to take Luke some more time to get that spot,
Yeah,
if he ever gets.
absolutely.
Okay, I want to talk about my favorite matches just by the amount of wrestling.
Real quick. Let me guess. 125 kg.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Oh,
I have I've become a heavyweight. This is what I'll say about the 125 kg match. I had the first one on at work. I work with Carson Floyd's brother, who Carson is a 197 pounder at Iowa State. So his brother is also like a larger human being who wrestled like 215 in heavyweight in high school. And he's like, wait, this is heavyweight? Like this is because I mean, this is like, I don't know what it means for Worlds because they're both just wild and crazy. And honestly, like Wyatt 1 and 2, and he does some things I really don't like that I think are scary for him to be our rep. But man, I mean, they both scored points. It was fun to watch. And it's like for that to be the first match of Final X in the schedule, like, I think it was a good move because I put it on at work and I got people that are not necessarily wrestling people that were excited when everything started because that was the match.
yes. I mean, honestly, that was one thing I love about both of them is that they go out there to win the match every time. And sometimes it hurts both of them. Sometimes you will see Wyatt Hendrickson and that mentality will have him beat Gable Steveson. And then other times he'll lose to some random. And I'm like, dude, how is this possible? And Mason Parris will do the same exact thing. And it really is, it makes for great wrestling. It does make me concerned for Worlds.
Here's the thing I hate that Wyatt does the most. And it happened in the first match that he won anyways, but it's like he doesn't want to give up anything easy, and he holds like if he takes a shot and he gets stretched out, he just keeps that leg forever. And we saw in match 2 and 3 him keep the leg and not get scored on, but in the first one he almost got pinned by
Oh,
being so stubborn that he hung on to the leg. And it's like if you just trust your part to your bottom and reset, like I promise they get tired and you look like you don't.
yes,
But sometimes giving up that 2 points so that it's not four, so that it's not a fall, so that it's not two sets of tips. Um, it can make a big difference against like an experienced international wrestler.
absolutely. And like, and sometimes I feel like he'll do that even on his own defense, is he'll keep wrestling a position. And I'm like, dude, just turn down. Like, because
Yeah.
sometimes we'll see, and they'll fall right into a trap arm, or they'll fall right into a leg lace or a gut. And I'm like, dude, yeah, that should have been two, but now it's eight, you know?
Yep.
But I think his mentality is, and I respect it, is, you know, I'm gonna wrestle as hard as I possibly can, no matter what. And I'm sure DT is gonna work more with him on his match tactics. But I mean, honestly, they were two awesome matches.
Yeah, for sure.
Like when uh, Mason had him picked up over his head, and somehow Wyatt ended on his belly and Mason ended on his back. I mean, you're not coaching that. No one's coaching that. That is just unbelievable athleticism, honestly, by Wyatt Hendrickson. It's
Well,
really what
and
it is.
yeah, this is a match too where it's like if you've got people that kind of know you really like wrestling and they're like, "What?" It's like show them this, show them this, tell them Wyatt Hendrickson beat Gable Steveson, wrestled at Air Force before he transferred to Oklahoma State. Mason Parris was an Olympian, and just watch these guys kind of both like go all out, have a bunch of exchanges, and be like, "Isn't this like a cool thing?" Because
Yes,
I think it represents the product that freestyle wrestling can be really, really well.
absolutely. Especially for big guys like that who are notorious for close hand fighting, objectively boring matches. You know, I
Yeah,
mean,
I mean, I used to joke that a push out, we should have push out in high school heavyweight because we needed it to let them score points
yes,
in folk style. But it's like if you got rid of a push out in freestyle between Wyatt and Mason, it wouldn't matter. They would still both find all the
nothing
points.
changes. Nothing changes. Which is how it should be. All right, now let's go. You know what? We'll save the best for last. All right.
Is
Um,
this the best?
that's the best.
Okay, all right,
Let's
all right.
go to 70.
Okay.
Zain Retherford, Ridge Lovett, and I mean, Zain Zain looks good. Um, Zain to me continues to look better. But I came away from this again impressed with Zain, but I was very impressed with Ridge Lovett as well. I mean, I did not expect his style to translate so well to freestyle, and it's been incredible. I mean, I think with more matches and more experience in freestyle, I mean, I think he's going to be a real threat in the coming years.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of incentive to keep Ridge Lovett around freestyle wrestling
Yes.
because he I thought in the first match he had the perfect game plan to steal a match if he was gonna steal a match, and we both thought that he was a big underdog. But he kept it close, and when he did take leg attacks, he didn't get run behind or counter scored on, even if he wasn't generating points from there either. And that's hard to do on Zain Retherford. It is hard to take any sort of leg attack risks and not have him punish you for them. He created some scrambles where he got stalemates, not points, but it's like, um, I think he definitely made the first match like uncomfortable for Zayn, and then that kind of forced Zayn to open up and find attacks more in the second one because he realized if he kind of sat back and tried to only find counter scores that it might be decided by a passivity point or one like upper body exchange that goes Ridge Lovett's way or something like that. So
Yeah.
yeah, I was I guess not surprised Zane won, but like impressed with Ridge. And it's like we know that there's so much room for him to continue to improve in this style. And the way he wrestles does translate super well to freestyle for sure.
So one thing I was going to say about Zayn is I thought his leg attacks looked really good. Especially his double, right? I noticed it in match one, and that's how he got his first takedown was his double. And then he got in again, and it was almost just to kind of, eat up some clock. I think he feels very comfortable there at the end. But I was like, I don't remember Zayn ever being a big double legger. And I think he looked he looked fast and his finishes looked extremely clean, especially when we got to match two. I
Yeah, and
mean,
I would say like on those doubles, I mean he found lots of takedowns or a couple takedowns in match two, and the finishes look clean. But that the double in match one, he had to have. He
yes.
had to find points, and he found points and finished efficiently and scored and figured it out.
And honestly, because of his ability to get to that double leg and finish as well as he does, or as well as he did, I feel pretty good about him at Worlds. Knowing obviously his head hands defense is it might be some of the best in the world. But him being able to get to that double leg and have such clean finishes, I think is really going to make him a medal threat at Worlds.
I'm interested to see how he does because I think I see signs that he could be a medal threat, and that's like what I want to happen. Um, but it's just like it's also hard for me to see like was Olympic or sorry, world gold medalist Zane Rutherford really only 1 point better than Landon Robidoux or Caleb Hinson or
Yeah.
and I don't know. Like I feel like in my head I would have always thought like when he was at his peak he was a lot better than where those guys are at right now.
Yeah.
So like I think we could absolutely see it and I hope we see it, but I'm just like I'm kind of not sure, I guess.
And one thing I will say is I think um the Robodo match to me, I felt like those were kind of our two best guys at 70. Just watching the matches, I felt like those are our two best guys because when he wrestled at RAF against Antrell Taylor, who is pretty difficult to score on, he kind of ate him up there. He dominated that match, and I do think part of it was rust and time off the mat and not having competed in a match since before the Olympics in 2024. So
Yep.
I do think that was part of it. I do kind of have the same concern. I hope he's wrestling again. I hope he goes overseas. And the nice part is Worlds isn't until October this year. So he's still got 3 months really to get back into, that Zain form of past. So I
Yeah.
hope that we see it. I think that we will.
Yeah. That's fair. He does have some time. All right. I think we're going to talk about Hidlay Mock too, even though it was a week earlier, but let's go to Levi now. Let's go
Yes.
to the last one that was Friday.
Yep.
I wore my Levi Haines NIL shirt, for the podcast. He beat Chance Marstellar in 2 matches. Um, and maybe some of it was a rib injury Chance had coming into Final X, but I mean, really, it looked like the match was tight early, and dealing with Levi's hand fight and forward pressure for 6 minutes it's a really, really hard thing to do. And he was finding a lot of points late in both of those matches.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like, and I even said this to you when they were wrestling. Like I heard JB on the broadcast talking about, one thing he thinks is going to be size. Chance is coming down from 86. Levi has wrestled 174 and 79 kgs. And I text you and I said, dude, I can't wait for Levi to go up to 86 because I thought he looked huge. Um, and his dad is obviously a very, very large human being. And I mean, his pressure is world class. I mean, I'm picking him. I know we're not doing predictions, but I'm picking him to win gold. I mean,
Yeah, I
he's
agree. I
so
agree.
good. He's so good. He's so good because Chance is like impossible to score on. Everybody has struggled since Chance started wrestling to score on him. And Levi said, okay, let me get through the head hands, let me get through the tricks. And he did. And those second periods in both matches, I mean, he was wearing him down. And when he was shooting, he was scoring. Extremely impressive performance by him.
I think it's worth mentioning for Levi. This is kind of like this should be your prime example when people talk about if one goal is important enough to you, it's like you almost don't need the little goals and little steps. You just have to be willing to do whatever it takes to get the big one. Because I see a lot of the decisions Levi made in his career as like it's all pointing to 2028 and trying to be an Olympic champion. Um, and he maybe sacrificed some safety and results along the way to make that more attainable. And so like he's 21, like he graduated high school young. He started as a true freshman and didn't redshirt. And it's like, hey, if you did a holdback year in middle school, would you have won more Pennsylvania state titles? Because he didn't wrestle in the Pennsylvania State Series his senior year, and he was a runner-up as a freshman at 106. Maybe, but then you get to Penn State older, and you're in college for one more year in the Olympics. And then it's like, hey, if you redshirted, could you have had a shot at more NCAA titles? Like maybe because he lost to Austin O'Connor as a true freshman in the NCAA finals. But now we have a guy he's completely finished with college.
Yep.
He's only 21 years old. And everyone knows exactly what he's trying to do, right? He's trying to win a world title this year, and he's set himself up where that can be his only focus.
Yep.
And I think he's made intentional decisions the whole way to set himself up for last year, this year, next year in 2028. And I think it's going to be cool to see how it all plans out. And obviously, hence the shirt, we're rooting for him along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's such an easy guy to root for too. I mean, even you know him, I don't. But I've always rooted for Levi Haines. I mean, he just seems like such a nice kid who works extremely hard, lives the right lifestyle. Um, and yeah, I mean, I think we'll have to do a podcast sometime on like people holding their kids back versus not. Because I do, that's something that we see when we've talked about it a bunch.
Well,
Um,
it's probably like a lot of things. The answer is the middle, and the right answer for someone isn't the right answer for someone else. But I mean, it's hard. I think Levi is a kid that people from the outside would have told him to do things differently in some of those places, like high school and college. And now, with the hindsight of where he's trying to get to, it's hard to say any of those decisions were wrong because we think he's already a world medalist. He's poised has the potential to win a world title. And it's like, we're talking about a 21-year-old. We're not talking about somebody that's 27 and still trying to make their first team.
exactly. All right. Now let's get to 92. Mock versus Hidlay. Um, it went pretty much, I think, exactly how we expected. I mean, they've wrestled. I'm gonna I'm gonna be conservative here, and I'm gonna say they have over 1,000 hours of live wrestling against each other. And it looked like it. You know what I mean? I think Trent's a better guy. He proved it. Um, Mock is still very competitive. He's very tough. Um, but it doesn't really give me an indication on as to where Trent's going to do at Worlds. You know what I mean? This is kind of like the old, um, it's your practice partner, right?
Yeah, well,
And they were
these
practice
are
partners forever.
yeah, these are the examples I wrote because I think the same thing. I think if you saw him wrestle Trent Hidlay wrestle Mike Mock close, and you're worried about Trent Hidlay at Worlds, you just don't understand the practice partner dynamics, the familiarity dynamics. And the
Yep.
examples I wrote down are Lilledahl Desmond and Cooper Flynn Eddie Ventresca,
Yep.
where
Exactly.
Nate Desmond was Luke Lilledahl's only loss when he won a national title. He beat him at the Black Knight invite in the finals at 125 pounds, and it looked like they wrestled each other all the time. It was a one takedown match. I think it was 4-1. Cooper Flynn and Eddie Ventresca had all these ultimate tiebreaker like wars that we thought were as fans, we thought they were deciding the 125 spot, and then it was like, oh, they're going with Eddie, like no matter what happens. And
Yeah.
then like Ventresca is the guy that is a multiple time All-American, and Flynn transferred out and did okay at Minnesota, but didn't All-American. And I think like sometimes being able to beat a guy you're familiar with doesn't mean you're better against the field when you're both like really, really high level wrestlers. And so for 92, the analysis is Trent is so good that he can beat a guy that's super familiar with him in two matches,
Yep.
find a way to get it done, not drop a match, and now he gets to go wrestle on the world stage where he has a world gold medal, and we should feel like we like his chances to medal again.
Absolutely. And that's exactly how I feel. I mean, I still would probably put him as a gold medal favorite at 92. I think he's proven that, obviously. Um, and so, I mean, I have no concerns whatsoever. regarding his ability. And I mean, the matches they were a little bit of a tough watch. I did not like it being done in a high school gymnasium. I felt like the mat was very slippery. It's if we want to go there, I was not pleased about that. I didn't think it was a good representation for the level at which Trent Hidlay and Mike Macchiavello should be wrestling at. Um,
Well, yeah, I think it's like it's the opposite of that heavyweight match, right? If you're trying to show somebody like, hey, what's it like to make a world team? How's this event? What's two of our high level guys wrestling look like? It's like maybe you don't show them the two practice partners that are going to wrestle a really tight match that happened to be in a high school gym because it got rescheduled. Because yeah, it wasn't a super compelling two match series.
yeah,
But I think if you were dialed into their history,
you
that's
would know.
kind of what you expected the matches to look
Yeah,
like.
absolutely. Um, yeah, I'm honestly and I will say this, I thought the production for Final X, I thought the venue, I thought everything was great. I thought Christian Piles, I thought Jordan Burroughs, I thought they did a really great job commentating. Um and everything was really good with it. I will say that. I mean, honestly, I was pretty impressed. I think every year Final X becomes a better product. And I'll
Yes.
say this as well. Honestly, I don't, I think from a time standpoint, I actually liked it a lot better with 8 matches than I do with 10.
Yeah.
And
I yeah, go ahead.
I'll say because I thought that round one went pretty quickly, and I thought it was easy to stay engaged. Round two, obviously you have to throw in your third matches, and then it's easy to be engaged there, right? Because this decides
Yes.
the world team. Um, I'll say in the past when they've done it all kind of all together, and it's been about 4.5 hours, I've been like, all right, we gotta speed some things up here. Now, with all that being said, the one match we haven't talked about, right? That hasn't happened, and we still don't know where or when it's going to happen. Because I heard August. I saw
Okay.
some files talk about it being in August. So I don't think it's going to be at Fargo.
Yeah, I was gonna say like I think that it would be cool because when Jackson Vito wrestled at Fargo, I think it was cool because though like Jax is a wrestler that his name holds a lot of weight with like the age of kid that's at Fargo. And Bo
Yeah.
Bassett is 100% like the same kind of wrestler.
Yes.
But I think if you do it at Fargo, it has this potential to be cool for like the people there, but that's kind of it. It's not better for the people watching at home.
Yeah.
And the other thing is like Real's got to be ready, right? The rule is the world medalist is allowed until 48 hours to request an extension. You can like or dislike the rule, but Real's going to use it because he earned a world medal. And so
Absolutely.
we we want we want to see these when we see these two guys wrestle, like we want to see the best version of both guys. So we take the right guy to the world championships.
Yeah.
And if that means it's not at Fargo or it's not at like a specific event, it doesn't matter. And I think of all the matches to get delayed, this one probably draws the most on its own because Bo Bassett is one of the two people wrestling.
Absolutely. And I'm going to make a change to my predictions. I already texted you about this. Um, and I'm going to go with Bo Bassett now. And I say that because I think that this infection that he has is going to limit Real's training. But I also think that the more time you give Bo Bassett to get better at wrestling, the better he's going to get at wrestling. He's at the right age. He's 19. I mean, he's right there. And so I think that it's going to be Bo Bassett is going to win Final X and be our 65 kg world team rep.
Yeah. Well, I picked Bo Bassett originally and just talked about pace and three matches and kind of, like if Levi and Chance had gone three matches, like we probably would have really liked Levi in the third match because you have to. So, but I think what you're talking about is kind of like this thing that's in the back of everyone's head now. Like when Vito requested a delay with Jax, we're like, how healthy is he? When they did
Exactly.
the match, we're still not sure if he's 100%. And so it's like Real's the one that has a disruption in training and has to get back to where he feels like he's going to peak, and Bo just has to stay the course and wait for a date. And so I think it's a little easier to pick Bo in that situation. I would like to point out that if you change your pick, it means I just picked more right no matter what. Because if Real wins now,
I
the
know.
only match we picked different was 57. So neither of us got 61 right. Marcus Blaze surprised us. Neither of us got 74 right. James Green surprised us. Neither of us, despite one of us claiming to be a Kyle Dake fan,
I
got 86 right
know.
because Kyle Dake surprised us. But Spencer Lee beat Luke Lilledahl, and that
Yep.
was the only match we picked differently besides 65, where now you're saying, hey, I'm just going to concede the L on the picks to be
I
right at 65 kilos.
I know. I know. I know. I hate doing it, but I do. I can't go against what I think is going to happen now. Even though I would have, we're gonna watch. Real Wood's gonna win, and I'm just gonna be like, oh my God, what am I doing?
You don't get credit for it now. You've
Nope,
officially changed the
nope. I
pick.
officially, it's recorded, right? I'm on record saying I'm picking Bo Bassett now. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'll be curious when that date comes out. I'll definitely make it a priority, obviously, to watch. One thing, and we didn't talk about this before, is actually what we're going to talk about in our next podcast. And that's going to be, right, we're going to switch gears. We're not just going to do like a prediction or a reaction video, but we're going to kind of talk about some of the coaching aspects of wrestling. And that's going to be um, folk style in the spring slash summer or freestyle in the spring slash summer. And basically the benefits of it and our kind of our personal views.
Yeah, and kind of from the lens of high school and youth club coaches that we are. So
Yes.
it's not a what should Levi Haines be doing?
Oh yeah,
He should
no.
probably be wrestling freestyle.
Yes.
He's out of folk style eligibility.
Yes.
But I do think that this is something we do a little different in the programs that we're involved in.
Yep.
We both do it because we're trying to do what's best for the kids we coach, and it's something that a lot of coaches talk about, have trouble balancing, have different opinions about,
Yep.
and when we get into it, I think the way we'll do this podcast is we're not trying to be hard and fast, like, I say only freestyle, you say only folk style,
We're
but
not
we
going to
want
be
to like
screaming at each other about
yeah, we'll have a real conversation
it.
and kind of like concede what the real middle ground is, and just let it kind of help coaches like have those similar conversations with people that don't necessarily agree because we are very good friends.
Yeah.
When we were involved in the same programs in Florida, we had different views about this, like we still do. So now
Yeah.
that we both have some control, we do it a little differently. But it doesn't mean that one of us is an idiot or
Yeah.
doesn't want what's best for the kids or anything
No,
like that.
so one of my favorite things are the people that are super far over here or super far over here. I hear those people all the time. If you're not wrestling freestyle and Greco, like you don't know anything about wrestling. And then on the other side, you have the people, well, isn't the goal to, win a state championship? How are you going to do that if you're not practicing top and bottom in folk style? And to me, both of them are wrong because I do 100% believe that you can take different paths to being really great at wrestling. Um, but also maybe that's not necessarily your goal, or maybe that's not even really a possibility. And I'll talk about as to why at least we do what we do at Beachside. Um, and actually probably what we'll do in the future of each side as well. So it's not just one way or the other.
For sure. Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, I think we'll say you can take your headgear off. Don't throw it because it's a team point. But if you were listening with headgear on, take it off now. Ankle bands in the center. Shake hands, and we'll see you next week.